All right, so we've got a pivotal ACC matchup this weekend between Florida State and the ascending Duke Blue Devils. And Florida State has been one of those teams that's I consider to be controversial right now. It seems like everybody has an opinion on these Seminoles right now. And so I'll ask people, hey, what do you think about Florida State's? And they'll be like, I don't really think that they've proven anything. I don't understand how they're number four in the country, and I think that that's interesting because if you reflect on this year so far, they began the season on a neutral field against one of the best teams in the SEC West, LSU. That's a considerable challenge, and they still won that game by 3 touchdowns. And then they were tasked with going into Death Valley several weeks later to take on Clemson, who was fighting for their lives. They're in survival mode. They were in there, and yes, they had to go to overtime to do it, but they were able to secure the victory, which was fantastic for the Noles. And the rest of their wins, quite honestly, besides that Boston College game, now every dominant team, every team that separates himself from the pack, has one game that's kind of choppy. Georgia's had theirs against Auburn this year, and that was Florida State's in Boston College. It was a choppy game, but they got the job done. And compared to a lot of your teams towards the top, some of them at least, Florida State's has been challenged considerably. You look at a team like Michigan. They haven't really been challenged yet. Florida State has had 2 games that have really helped to develop their character this year, in that LSU game and that Clemson game. Both Tigers, ironically enough. That's interesting. They have passed the Tiger test so far this year. So, at home, Doak Campbell Stadium, where this game is going to take place this weekend. The Seminole faithful, they always bring their best. I love it. The chop. It's a very intimidating environment, one of my favorites in college football. It's on my bucket list to go to this place and be part of the chop myself. Even though I go to Alabama, it's something that I want to experience because it just encapsulates that spirit of college football. Passionate fans, that's what we're all about here on the Era. And that energy that's exuded in Doak Campbell Stadium just brings the best out of those Seminoles every time they play at home. For some reason, I think that is the reason. They play out of their minds when they're at Doak Campbell Stadium, especially against their ACC opponents. And I think Saturday is going to be no different. You look at what they've done at home this year. Of course, they're undefeated. They haven't played a team like Duke at home yet, but they're undefeated this year at home so far. Look at that game against Virginia Tech at Doak a couple weeks ago. Florida State started off in the first quarter with 22 points. That is unbelievable. They just throttled Virginia Tech that day. Started off very fast. Could that be the case on Saturday? We'll have to see. Duke's defense is a little bit better than that of the Hokies this year. My question, too, is does Duke have anybody that can cover Keon Coleman? Because he has been just lighting it up this year. He's one of the best wide receivers in college football right now. I'm not going to say arguably the best because we have Marvin Harrison Jr. at Ohio State right now, who is a generational talent. At least I consider him to be. He's fantastic. But Keon Coleman, one of the best receivers, one of the hardest to cover right now in college football just because his athleticism, his great route running abilities. Who does Duke have on that team that can cover him? It's no referendum against their cornerback room, but it's a testament to how good Keon Coleman is. But what Duke does have is Riley Leonard, a quarterback who has really made a name for himself this year, especially in that first game of the year against Duke this year. Great on his legs, but great throwing the ball as well. And he's entertaining too. He's a great leader. Great personality. I love that tradition he has with his mom when she texts him before every game saying "you suck." I think that's hilarious. I also think that Mike Elko, their head coach, has done a great job at developing and curating a culture for Duke right now. It seems like the guys are really buying in. So Duke has just been a really fun team, really fun program to watch during their ascent right now. And there's always been that narrative they're a basketball school, and this organization, this program they're adamant about kind of changing that narrative. Yes, they have a great basketball team, but we play football here at Duke too. That's been the message, and they've stuck true to that this year. They have rightfully defended that, and that Duke game, or forgive me, the Clemson game. It became the Duke game when they dominated at the end of the game and secured that victory. But week 1, when Duke took on Clemson, That's what I've referenced this term earlier this season on the air. That game served as Duke's foundation of confidence. They've built off of that win. They've built their confidence off of that win, and it's carried on to this point. They only have one loss so far this year. But will there be another this Saturday? We'll have to see. Ultimately, I think Florida State has a little bit too much firepower for Duke. I think Duke is going to keep it close. I think that they do have a great defense. Florida State's not going to score at the rate it did against Virginia Tech, but they will have enough explosiveness on offense to where they can expand the lead later in the game as Duke starts to fatigue with trying to keep up with Florida State. I think it'll be interesting at the half. You may see Florida State 17, Duke 10 or something like that at the half. But as the game goes on, I think Florida State will ultimately take this one 31-17. But it will be an entertaining watch, and it's one of those games where us as fans, we're going to start to gain a sense of clarity when it comes to Florida State and Duke. Kind of like that Washington and Oregon game last weekend. We're starting to get a feel for how this Pac-12 race is going to unfold. We still have a couple contenders right now in the ACC. You've got Florida State, you've got Duke. We're trying to see who's the real and who's not, maybe so to speak. And this game will be a real indicator of that, of who your top dog in the ACC may be. My gut says Florida State, but I can't wait to watch a great, entertaining football game at the Doak this Saturday. Have a great day. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you and the time that you took out of your day to watch the video. And if you enjoyed it, please be sure to like the video and share it, as well as subscribe to The Era. The more likes and subscribers I get on this channel, the more resources I can attain, and the more resources I can attain, the more value I can provide to you, the viewer. And that is how I show my appreciation for you for the time that you devote to watching my videos. So thank you so much, and have a great day.